Hello my dear students, welcome back to another video. Today I am going to teach science of class 8 and this is a continuation of lesson number 6. Lesson number 6 continuation. So in the last class we have already started lesson number 6 and the name of the lesson is Combustion and Flame. Combustion and flame, and altogether it contains 7 subtopics, and we have discussed introduction and the first subtopic in the previous lecture. And today we are going to start, or we are going to take the second topic of this lesson, which is going to be the first topic of today's lecture. So before starting, let me help you to remind or recall what we have learned in the previous lecture. So in the last class we have discussed about fuel, we have discussed about combustion, which give out heat and light, and combustion da changi conditions, combustion ki conditions no normal class ta koi tamgre conditions da combustible substance ama changi, which is also called fuel. Then air is required, from air to be precise, to be high the oxygen in the changi, and the third one is ignition temperature. And beyond ignition temperature helakanda combustible substance to mai chakalakadai. So regarding the conditions, we have discussed in the previous class that for a combustible substance is required. Air is required, from which we get oxygen, and combustible substance should be heated beyond ignition temperature. Ignition temperature ki matang da mamang class ta tamgre. Now we will proceed, or we will move on to the next topic, that is how do we control a fire. How do we control fire? You will find this topic page number 68. How do we control fire? Fire se koi combine control to hai, the combine method can here. So in the starting it is given that you must have seen or heard of fire breaking out at homes. You must have seen fire breaking out at homes. Today we will discuss only 2 subtopics: home, shops, and factories. Mai chak, yum mai chak, dukan mai chak, factories mai chak ni tara mani. Mai method na kana lai fire brigade lai. And fire brigade the phone door ni fire brigade lai. So when a fire brigade arrives, what does it do? Fire brigade normally yoragan the kai tawi. It pours water on the fire. When you mai chak, dukan mai chak, factory mai chak, the fire brigade the phone door ni. Fire brigade ji hek lakh ko moi na kai tawi. Fire brigade it pours water ising kapsula. It pours water on the fire. It pours water on the fire. So what is the function of the water? Water is in the kedorani. Water cools indhan. Water cools the combustible material. Combustible material, so that so that its temperature so this temperature is brought is brought below its ignition temperature. Below its ignition temperature. So fabricant akadoni, it pours water on the fire. May do the ising kapsalani, ising the nakadoni, water cools the combustible material. In the Rabumatamda, Mosagi conditions in combustible may amachang condition C. Combustible substance amachangi, nuxit amachangi, then ignition temperature. Home Zimanong the Ama Hello talk with the main mutini. In the ignition temperature C in Matangani. So that its temperature is brought below its ignition temperature. Ignition temperature is combustible material to give ignition temperature is makha the handagi targadi mathanda muchagani machina ising function ama ani suva ising number modena kadawani. This prevents the fire from spreading. Water vapor also surround the combustible material. Water vapor sinum kadawani. So a second function of water is that may the capsule of Nina Sunjoy Shoydana ising do liquid form of water do sagat padiki water vapor olani. Masi water vapor sidaka dodiba masi water question reni. Surround the combustible material. Combustible material see question granny. Question granny na kadawani helping in cutting off the supply of air. Supply of air see kadawani cut down. So the fire is extinguished. May mutki. Adun is may chak matam na ising kapsan bada ising kapsan like may mulisi. Madam Karigino, when you look at your textbook, you will find two reasons or two functions of water while putting off the fire. The first one is it lowers the temperature below its ignition temperature and stops or prevent fire from spreading. The second point is water in the form of liquid when heated by the fire converts into water vapor, and the resulting water vapor surrounds the combustible material which cut off the supply of air. Supply of air cut off the wire with the oxygen funger. Oxygen funger ready, maido mutkrani. Makasa third point now. So you have learned that there are three essential requirements for producing fire. Essential requirement for producing fire. Something let's say fire. Normal lecture the tamgre koina kike changi, fuel changi, air changi, then ignition temperature changi. Ignition temperature changi. Helagane may saktushi. May mutat ke hai taragadi keudeba. So fire can be controlled by removing one or more of these requirements. The job of the fire extinguisher is to cut off the supply of air or to bring down the temperature of the fuel or both. And may mutat ke hai gadi may chak pada sangiba essential may chak pada sangiba poche singasi fuel ne air ne adigi fuel is a combustible substance to me. Fuel is a combustible substance to me. Samane combustible substance. Combustible material has. Combustible material to the ignition temperature amalangani madu hela kanda. May mutat ke hai di oxygen ki supply se kathat. Ye di ke khoi phangdu si kaino oxygen. Oxygen ki supply se kathat ba. Natragana indhan ba anisi manungda amma hekta oibe na anima oisu yai hai oxygen supply kathala sumai mutkani indha la sumai mutkani anima insu indha ba oxygen supply su kathat ba anima oisu yai adi manungda the fuel in most cases cannot be eliminated. See fuel sidi lauthok pa ngam yawi ngam da yawi haidi u macha akhon sing mai tha matamda mai muthak ke sing lothokpa sing gumbadadi hai. But for example, when we take as when a building catches fire, for example, the whole building is the fuel. The whole building do the lothokpa yaroidana aduga aduna fuel combustible material cd case khara dadi akhona lothokpa yabi yawi yadabsu yawi aduna fire extinguisher singina focus tawisi kaidano hairagadi removal of prevent the supply of oxygen, there is air, or lowering the temperature in the anis manungda ama tawbana ta animak or share in order to turn off the fire. Sida going ising ni matang ni going nainari si ising na muthatbagi matang ni. So there is a point in page number 69 which is very important and highlighted by brown color. The most common fire extinguisher is water. It is given as the most common fire extinguisher is water. Quite common is water. When my muthatma yam to is water ni, but water works only when the things like water the work to water city works only kaida only things like example in a of the wood gumba paper gumba by chaka. If electrical equipment is on fire, if electrical equipment is on fire, masida water na ngamde. So if electrical equipment is on fire, water may conduct electricity. Kay manam gi ngamdri no hadi may chat water. Moreover, heavier so manam sin energy sing ngamdri si sing na muthat pa ngamdri si kay manam ni heng si electrical equipment or gadi water may conduct electricity. A good conductor of electricity may and harm and harm sohalani kanada and harm those trying to turn off the fire. Since water is a good conductor of electricity, if electrical equipment is on fire, water may conduct electricity and harm those that are trying to turn off the fire. And water is also not suitable for electrical equipment tanate oil gumba petrol gumba mai chaku matamda su water na ngamdi. So water is also not suitable for fires involving oil and petrol. Maramdi kaigi maramdi water is heavier than oil. Water is heavier than oil. So not only in the burning of electrical equipment, but also when oil or petrol burns, water cannot be used to turn off the fire because in case of electrical equipment, since water is a poor conductor of electricity, it may harm those trying to turn off the fire. And in case of oil and petrol, or petrol you can say, since water is heavier than oil, it sinks below the oil. Ising is makada like ising heavier or water sink loop below the oil. And oil keeps burning on the top. And oil keeps burning from the top. So for fire involving electrical equipment in inflammable materials, so if water is not the essential material to turn off a fire in case of electrical equipment and oil or petrol, so what we are going to do, what is the proper substance or proper material to use? For fire involving electrical equipments, for fire involving electrical equipment and inflammable materials, like petrol gumba. So mai cha ku matam da electrical equipment na maram moidana mai cha na chang inflammable materials na maram moidana. Inflammable materials are the very low ignition temperature have ni petrol me mai cha de khone kai sina ni ising ni sina we use carbon dioxide. We use carbon dioxide is the best extinguisher. Combine mana mutali carbon dioxide being heavier than oxygen. Oxygen ki lumana maram moidana covers the fire blanket. Carbon dioxide na combine mai mutali yengasi. Carbon dioxide is heavier or heavier than oxygen digi heavier or maram moidana mana covered over cover the fire mana cushion like a blanket or may cha kind of blanket cushion be type. So carbon dioxide being heavier than oxygen covers the fire like a blanket. Covered over oxygen supply to so the contact between the fuel and oxygen is cut off. And then contact between kanagi marakta between fuel and oxygen to kedoeba kaktale. Fuel and oxygen to cuts off kaktat. So carbon dioxide being heavier than oxygen covers the fire like a blanket. Manu cushion grabanina. The contact between fuel and oxygen do layer contact like the oxygen pandrabanina may do mutkrem. Another point it not only forms a blanket around the fire, it also brings down the temperatures into indale. Brings down the temperature. It also brings down the temperatures into indale. It also brings down the temperature of the fuel. And ising the su ingsu indahali oxygen supply su ka I adumana carbon dioxide su oxygen supply su ka I ingsu indahali. Oxygen supply na kamaina kakpa mana cover the fire like a blanket aduna oxygen gi the contact lehen the fuel the ingsu indahali. The carbon dioxide is LPG ki type ta under high pressure the compressed orga cylinder the hala thamdoi ngre hangdo akanda kapak. And then another way the cylinder the hala ga thambado under pressure the adu nataba. Another way to get carbon dioxide is dry powder section dry powder of chemicals like sodium bicarbonate, baking soda. Manipuri da soda bake up bora daga uti thong daga hapuduni. Dry powder mai cha I mafam da direct langjan ba. Natraga potassium bicarbonate or potassium bicarbonate also. Potassium bicarbonate also. Near the fire, these chemicals give off carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide. The formula of carbon dioxide is CO2. So, carbon dioxide C combined under high pressure the LPG the liquefied petroleum gas ki type the carbon dioxide so under high pressure the cylinder the halaga lai angang machu gi cylinder thet paduni akoi lab ki mamang da su thet pani. Or another way to get carbon dioxide is by to release dry powder of chemicals, lot of to release a lot of dry powder of chemicals like sodium bicarbonate, which is also called baking soda, soda or potassium bicarbonate near the fire. Near the fire, these chemicals give off carbon dioxide, which is carbon dioxide. So the next topic is types of combustion. Types of combustion. Combustion ki makhal sin haitare. Combustion ki makhal. Sida koin tamdu si makhal ahum ni. Rapid combustion haibama. Rapid combustion. So in your textbook, 3 types of combustion are given. One is rapid, the other one is spontaneous, the last one is explosion. Rapid combustion, spontaneous combustion, and last one is explosion. So we will start with the rapid combustion. Rapid combustion. Rapid combustion. So when you look at your textbook page number 69, you will find it when you bring a burning matchstick or a gas lighter near a gas stove. Near a gas stove, when light it matchstick the gas thagat pa hai tare yam mai du cha ku matam da knob to the on the thambi bitare masi gas ama mai thagat pa matam da gas ki knob si on tawraga makhe chuba matam da cha ku matam da yam kuina changbra natraga yam thuna chakbra haibani. You will find that the gas burns, as we all know, rapidly. Yam thuna chai and produce heat and light. Masi combustion si bo khoina kai kawi rapid combustion kawi. Masi bo khoina kai kawi rapid combustion kawi. Rapid combustion. So next is spontaneous combustion. Next is spontaneous combustion. The type of combustion, combustion, in which a material suddenly bursts into flames without the application of any apparent cause masibu kone kai kawi spontaneous combustion kawi spontaneous combustion so the type of combustion in which a material suddenly bursts into flames without the application of any apparent cause is called spontaneous combustion. Mai chaku matam masa matam chak charakpa atop heating atop kemde yaudbi masibo ko spontaneous combustion kawi. Example, when you look at the textbook you will find that phosphorus is given as an example in your textbook. Phosphorus burns in air at room temperature. So example of a spontaneous reaction is phosphorus. Phosphorus burns. Phosphorus burn in air at room temperature. Extra heating chemical P the bida room temperature the mapanan thamamadam the phosphorus see mathanda sakle. Phosphorus burn in air at room temperature. So next is explosion. So when cracker is ignited, cracker bhumla mai thawa matam da bhumla se mai thawa matam da ignited. A sudden reaction takes place with the evolution of heat, light and sound. Reaction ama thoi the mai tharaga heat tholani, light tholani, sagalani, mangal tholani, makhol tholani. Bhumla ni cracker bhumla thawa matamda mangal thoi, makhon thoi, amadi masha thoi. And a large amount of gas forming the reaction is liberated. Masibo koina explosion kawi. So bhumla mai thawa matamda reaction ama thoi, and because of that reaction heat, light and sound is evolved, and along with that a large amount of gas is also formed which is liberated. The large amount of gas formed in the reaction is liberated. Masigu makhalgi reaction sibu koina explosion kawi. So with this I'll summarize what we have done today. So far we have discussed that fire can be controlled. So far we have discussed that fire can be controlled. Fire se control to bhi hai by removing one or more requirements essential for producing fire. One or more requirements. Current requirement essential for producing fire. Mai chakpada changiba maduguma requirements singdu amma nathak amadi hena lathok. And mai chakpada changi combustible substance ne, air ne, ignition temperature ne. Combustible substance ti yam chaw si yawi dum na lathok pa ngam yawi ngam da yawi. So the fire extinguisher focus to the removal of remaining two, that is lowering down, so that the combustible substance, the temperature of the combustible substance to handhagarga below ignition temperature or to cut off the air supply, this is oxygen supply. Water is commonly used to control fire. Fire control to commonly used to we, but in case of electrical equipment and oil or petrol, instead of water we have to use carbon dioxide. you know the water may conduct electricity and oil petrol since water is heavier than oil water sinks and and types of combustion rapid combustion and spontaneous combustion then explosion aduna masida aina haining isi mai muthad ke hairagadi mai chapda changiba pochak ahum du khoina khangba tare pochak ahum du kai kai no combustible substance air ignition temperature ahum du gi manung da ama lakthoba ama de hele su yai minimum ama lakthoku matam da mai mut khini ya mai mut pa matam da khone scenery si yam common no water ni electrical equipment gumba oil thau gumba petrol gumba mai chapku matam da di sing sine ba yade because water is a good conductor of electricity good conductor of electricity or electrical equipment di yade adu petrol gi matang dana water is heavier than petrol or oil oibnina makha da legini mai dum cha alini types of combustion rapid spontaneous explosion. So now time for evaluation. Please try to find the answers of these questions which will help you to check whether you have understand the topic or not. Why water is not used to control fires involving electrical equipments. Electrical equipment mai cha agadi sing sina disi kai maram gi no. Question number 2, name the 3 types of combustion. Combustion makul ahum tambadu madugi maming singdu hayo. So question number 1 is why water is not used to control fires involving electrical equipments. Electrical equipment mai cha ku matamda ising sing na sina ga mutha disi kai maram gi no. Question number 2, name the 3 types of combustion. Combustion makul ahum tamgi noi tambadu husi ta khibedu so with this I'll conclude my lecture. Thank you.